Hello everyone, this is Many Ninja speaking. Welcome to a bit of an impromptu late July pickup video, and part of the reason for that is I actually attended this year's ConBravo event over in Hamilton, Ontario, and got quite a few things. Alright, for the first part of the ConBravo part of the pickups here, we're going to start with a lot of the handheld games, namely the Nintendo-based ones. So we have original Game Boy games, DuckTales and DuckTales 2, both a lot of similarities with the original NES games in the same name, with DuckTales 2 being based off the really expensive NES one, so that's reason enough for me to pick it up there. So I have some form of the game at least. Next one here is going to be RoboCop 2, or not RoboCop 2, the original RoboCop for the Game Boy. The game itself is nothing to call home about, but for some reason it has an oddly nice soundtrack. I'm not sure how that works out. Next one, X-Men Mutant Academy, I believe based off the fighting game of the same name. I just got it because it's part of a bargain bin. Magical Drop Pocket here. I generally try to pick up Neo Geo Pocket games where I can because they're kind of scarce to find around these parts, so this one didn't cost me too much. Puzzle game, by the way. Moving on to the Game Boy Advance games, we have Sonic Advance and Sonic Pinball Party in here. I picked it mostly for the first part of that collection because I don't have the original Sonic Advance, so this technically completes my set of the Advance games. Super Dodgeball was actually the second game out of that bargain bin I was talking about with X-Men Mutant Academy, so hey, cheaper copy of that, I'll gladly take it. It's a little beat up, but as long as the game runs technically, I'm happy enough with it. And the last of the Game Boy Advance games I happen to have in this case is Godzilla Domination. It's actually a bit of a multiplayer beat 'em up slash brawl of some sort. It's a little hard to describe, but I remember having played that in the past in some format, so I wanted a physical copy. And the last two for this small grouping here is going to be two Nintendo DS games. Advance Wars Dual Strike, which I believe is the third game of that particular set. I don't have the original two, at least not physical copies at this time, so I just figured since one was cheap enough, why not we'll get it, and hopefully I'll find the next two at some point down the line. And last one being Dragon Ball Origins 2. Still need the original, but I enjoy my Dragon Ball game, so there you go. That's first bit of the pickup here. Moving on over, we have a PSP game, Bomberman for the PSP. Technically, it's an incomplete copy because you can see the case needs a little cleaning up, but I paid maybe like $10 for it, so I'm still okay with the purchase. And the next one being my second, as you can probably guess, it's a little bit shinier because it's actually a complete copy of Neo Mystery Bonus for the Neo Geo Pocket here. Nothing really to call home about. It's a casino game, so basically you got your slots, your cards, and a couple of other things, but it didn't cost me a whole lot, plus it's a complete game for the Neo Geo Pocket, so hey, reason enough. Picked it up, I have one more for the collection now. Moving onward to regular console titles, we have Double Dragon 3 for the NES. This is a complete box copy of the game, at least I believe so anyway. I have to look at the inside again. But generally this completes my Double Dragon NES collection now, so that makes me quite happy actually. And the next one is a bit of a weirder pickup, Kendo Rage for the Super Nintendo in this case. Generally, it's kind of a game by Seta. I thought it was by Irem at first, but apparently by Seta. It's an anime-style platformer title. I mostly just picked it up because it's something I saw off of a YouTube Let's Play while. It looked interesting enough, so I said, if I find it for cheap, I pick it up, and well, that happened at this particular event. Moving on to disc-based games, I picked up two different PlayStation 2 games. As you can see, part of the same series in this case, so Mega Man X7 and Mega Man X8. X7 in this case is an incomplete copy. It technically does not have the manual in this case, but realistically, one, this adds a few more games to my Mega Man game collection, so fine, I'll take it regardless in this case. And two, I did not pay much for either one. I want to say I paid roughly 20-ish for the both, maybe 25 at most. And speaking of CD-based games, this one's actually a nice one to take off my list finally. Guardian Heroes for the Sega Saturn. This is the import Saturn copy in this case. I had previously picked up a PAL version, but unfortunately it did not run well visually. Regardless of having a system that was able to play imports, just had visual glitches that made it very difficult to play. It just didn't work right. The North American version is stupidly expensive, so I haven't tried reaching for that one at this point yet. But this gives me at least some copy of the game that I can play, and I'd say it's finally part of my collection, so I'm actually quite happy. This is probably one of my favorite pickups for this particular event at ConBravo. I believe this was from the night market, in fact. Speaking of which, here's my next favorite pickup. This is actually an import Parappa the Rappa doll. Never actually released in the North American markets at this point. And one of the interesting things about this one, unfortunately, I don't have the proper setup, since apparently this needs a different style of battery, I believe a D-cell battery to run properly. If you have the right kind of battery and turn on there, apparently it does a little dance. At least that's what the seller who sold this to me actually told me about it, but I'm going to need to find the right kind of battery in order to figure that out, so that'll be something to look at for later. Alright, my last few pickers for this video, which I'm going to include just because it was still within the week of the event. I got the bundle version of the Mega Man X Legacy Collection, so basically Collection 1 and 2 for the PS4, as well as Sonic Mania Plus. Technically, I have a digital version of Sonic Mania Plus at this still, but I always prefer having physical versions, and well, for the X Legacy Collection, I'll let you watch my last video about the Steam version to why this is the only copy of the game I have now. And I'll just leave it at that for now. So, just to have some more additions to my PS4 collection, so always nice. And the last thing I picked up, technically not a game, but game adjacent, we'll say, are the Splatoon, Pearl, and Marina amiibos. Mostly because I enjoy the general aesthetic of the Splatoon series, especially since I don't actually have the game proper for this, nor a Nintendo Switch. Funny how that works. And with that, I believe that wraps up this particular video. So for those who stuck around, thanks for watching, catch you all later, and I believe we're actually going to be doing a stream tomorrow, so watch Twitter for that. Take care.